though. Audio input capture, add source. Hello. Hello, welcome guys. Thank you everyone for joining the channel today. We will wait for like just 2 minutes more, and then we'll start our session. I hope we are ready to start. And first of all, thank you everyone for joining today. This is our episode 3 on threat hunting, and many people requested me to record the session again because we had already done the session 3, but now we are coming with more updates on this, like with more understanding on hunting activities in a security print center, or you can also perform this kind of hunting on your local machine as well. So let's start today. So before going to the practical parts immediate on the first jump, I would like to ask people what they want to understand, what is the point of learning threat hunting activity, how they can use it for themselves, for a company. So, and what is the most important thing you should focus on first? The first ever thing you should think up in your mind before starting any threat hunting activity in the network is for the indicator of compromise. This word should always become in your mind when you are planning to find out hackers in the network, or for your local machine, for any other corporate network. This will be very helpful for you to know, to understand the attack methods, techniques used by the attackers. If you are not sure what is the indicator of compromise it, so let's give a brief on the topics. So indicator of compromise is just kind of collection of the IP addresses, domain name, file name, hash value, registry entries, scheduled tasks, could be anything. Anything which gives a sign of compromise of a machine, of a device, or in the network. For example, I have an IP address 1.1.1.1. I know I have some intelligence on that IP address. That IP address belongs to some APT group, or that IP address is really malicious, was being used in any campaign or phishing attack or malware delivery. Then I can use that IP address to search in my network to find out if any communications have been observed, detected for that respective IP address which is identified as being used in the different campaign. Similarly, for the domain name, if you know that xyz.com is the malicious domain, if anyone open that website, could infect with a kind of malware, then you can do the hunting based on the domain name also. Like in a company, if you are in a SOC operation team or any doing threat hunting activity, you can look for the request sent by the internal employees in servers, that if anyone have sent any request to particular domain name, and if yes, what is the device name, who is that user. There could be possibilities, so we have to disconnect the machine from the network. That is an action plan, but understand how indicator of compromise can be helpful for you to start your hunting activity for the hackers. Similarly, the file name, any file name, because how would you know that this is the file name belongs to the particular APT group? So there are different intelligence, open source informations available in the internet that gives visibility in the attack methods, techniques, process, their tools, domain name, IP addresses, what they are using, how they are compromising the machine, how they, what first attempt they are doing in the network. Are they doing port scanning? They are using netbar scanning. They are using SMB scanning. They are using enumeration of the user accounts. They all gives visibility on the attacker's activity. So first you know the attacker's method, technique, then you can jump to the indicator of compromise. So now uh, this hash value, this file name, this domain name, IP address, registry entries, scheduled task, and can be anything which is could be useful for monitoring, for the investigation, or for the hunting activities, could be useful. Now you'd say that I don't know if that IP address is malicious or no. How could I know if I don't have any advisories? How can we perform the investigation based on the hunting? Like how we can start the hunting if we have nothing, no indicator of compromise? Then how we can start our hunting activity? For that, you should have good understanding about the what is right and what is wrong. And just saw a comment by Pritesh that do you sell self-paced SOC training session. So this is more about to learning different domains, right? So if you know the things in the right manner, like if you know that Windows machine is used to communicate with that particular IP address only. If you're seeing any other communications to a different external IP address on abnormal ports, then you should immediately highlight and to your team, to you, that why this is communication is established. So, for example, let's take an understanding for a Windows machine. I'm just giving a brief. Okay, this is for the hunting part. I'm not covering the security, remediations, other domains. But I will give you a brief because that is a part of our training sessions, like SOC training sessions, for which we are coming like SOC version 2. So if we understand about like how a Windows machines actually work. So Windows machine, when you start, it boots different process, different executables inside, which different user accounts are there, service account, user accounts, system accounts, local accounts are there, and every different account they have their associated responsibility. There are system accounts, the local system accounts, service accounts, which are being utilized by system itself. Nobody uses this, but attacker can compromise the machine by exploiting any vulnerability, any weakness in your machine. Now, from where we get this weakness word? Anything which you are using in your machine and it is running, that runs on particular framework, particular model, functions, coding, port number, services. So attacker can exploit anything, any loopholes can be exploited by the attackers if there is any weakness in the design, in the configuration part. If I'm using a later version of Firefox, like the first version, second version of the Firefox, or if I'm using a older version of Windows, Microsoft Windows Word, and I got an email that someone trying to send me a contract and I want to, and they're sending some money to, and that information is already in that contract. and that is in Word file. If I will open that Word file, then Word file could have some other macros enabled and can be used to run another operating system commands. If my word is not patched, if my word is vulnerable, that attachment can exploit weakness in my machine to compromise it. And they can execute anything. They can use my command prompt of my Windows machine to ping a machine, to download a malware, to browse any website, to download any bad stuff in the machine. And if you are not logging, that means if you are not logging, that means you are not tracking the activities in the logs, because everything which is done by a machine, the network packets can be logged. We have different devices to log different activities. So if you know that where what logs you can use and how can you use them, then only you can understand it. You can build a visualization. You can build a visualization that we can assume that this IP address came at this time, going to this IP address, tried to exploit this vulnerability and compromise the machine. But is a single machine capable is a single machine capable of logging everything? Like everything about the compromising a vulnerability, will machine be able to logged in the log file? No. A Windows machine, a Windows operating system, generally was used to log three or four type of the logs. First is for the system events, second for the application, and third one for the security. And if you will refer those different sources, so what information you can find it in the list of our indicator of compromise? Can you find IP address in those logs? Yes, IP address will be available in the logs, but not every single logs. It will be available where it is needed. For example, if our Windows machine logged a successful authentication, that means somebody authenticated in the network, you will get the IP address. But if Windows machine logged an activity for password reset, then you will not see the IP address in the logs. So each log is important for you to understand what information you can get it from the logs itself. Will you get file name from the password reset log in a Windows machine? No. Will you get a domain name? No. Will you get the hash value? No. Will you get register entries? No. So what information we can get from password reset logs? A Windows machine will give you the information for the password reset. What is the source user which reset the password for target user, and on which machine and what time, and if the request is successful or not. So now, until unless you are not familiar with the log sources, logs format, log understanding, you cannot do hunting in the network, because for hunting you should understand the logs format. Security monitoring is 90%, or okay, I say like more than 90% depend on the logs only. If your device has the logs, if you have the required information, then only you can identify or you can validate the information. If you are not logging anything, then it will be difficult for a team to investigate, to do the analysis. Then what we can do if we are not logging? Then in that case we have to perform forensic on the machine. Now, will the indicator of compromise will be available in the forensic part? Yes, because forensic is about the dumping of a memory of a machine like a RAM or hard disk. Mostly the RAM part. RAM, virtual space, virtual memory, paging file. So the RAM is the one where we get everything. What URLs browsed by the machine, what commands executed on the machine. So we can get everything from the RAM if it is available, because RAM is a volatile memory. If computer rebooted, you will not able to get all information. So still you have some limitations, but you can use some forensic tool to further identify and correlate the indicator of compromise. Now, why we talking about this IP address, domain, file, hash value, registry entry, schedule task? First understand this. IP address. Any connection sent or received will be done by a machine, by a device. And device have an IP address, either public IP address or private IP address. And based on the device logging, you will get the IP address either private or public in the log itself. Domain name. Domain name, that means user browsing something, or from the outside somebody sent something malicious to your website, to your domain name. Is it possible to log domain name from Windows machine? Yes or no? No, because previously it was no, but yes now, because now we have more other features which we can enable in a Windows machine, by which we can monitor the Windows also. Windows domain name, what domain name, what URL have been requested by the user, which user. Domain name is important in a company, because if any user going outside, for example, like, let's take an example, phishing attack. Phishing attack where the user open a domain name and gives the username and password and share it with the attacker. So we can check the logs for the respective domain name. If that, if any logs observed for the respective domain, if yes, then who was the user, what was the source IP address, so we can quickly report it activity for that user and can reset the password for that user before attacker make use of the account and send other malicious activity to other user, or to come to other activity. File name. So when attacker send any malware file in the email, or user downloaded any file from the internet, so file name can be used to identify if that file is present on the machine. If that file executed on the machine, hash value will give you the integrity of that file, of that executable. Everything running in a computer machine, running with a process, through a process, and every process has some hash value which we can compare to find out if that process is legitimate or the malicious one. Registry entries. So Windows logged registries entries in 5 different hierarchy. Anything which you install, which you set, Windows machine when reboots, when it starts, they refer to the registry to load the local configuration for the user, for the machine, for the software, for the profiles, and the loads exactly the same. So if attacker loaded anything malicious in the registries, then at the boot time it will also load it automatically. Scheduled task. Scheduled task can be used by the attackers to create a persistent access. They can configure your machine to send a connection to that particular domain name or IP address, or send data at regular interval time, like 5 minutes later. So they can schedule tasks, or they can configure schedule tasks to run any other executable malicious programs in your machine. So these are different types of indicator of compromise which can be further investigated by SOC analyst, by security analyst, or information security analyst to find out the hackers in the network or a machine. Now, How to hunt for the threats in a SOC operation. We already discussed about lot about the indicator of compromise. What is indicator of compromise and how it can be beneficial for the person who doing the investigation. But what other things we can focus on, like if we don't have the IP address, if we don't have the file name, if we don't have the hash value, then what other information we can use for the hunting activity? Security alerts. Wow, security alerts will give you some visibility in the real threats. Security alerts will help you to find out the actual targeted threat by the malicious IP addresses. But who will generate these alerts? From where we get these alerts? What security alerts we can get it? For what type of different activities will we get the alerts? It's all about the usage of the different security appliances in the network. A company can use different security products. I have already recorded a video on the different security products. Please watch it out if you want to know more. So the different security products we'll discuss later on, and you can watch the previous video if you want to know more. So like I give an example, like IDS, IPS and other security devices can be used by a company to trigger a threat signature. That from this IP address we find this threat targeting to this IP. The severity of this is low, medium, high, critical. What is that? Traffic is allowed, blocked. You can find out from the security alerts. And the most important, device logs. Device logs is very important, very important. Because every single device across the network is generating the logs, can generate the logs. And if you are not taking the consideration of the log investigation, very less chance you can find the attackers. Because something which is not captured by the indicator of compromise, which is not captured through the security alerts, can be identified with the device logs. Because indicator of compromise is more about the intelligence. Security alerts are based on the signature. Antivirus have their own signature, firewall have their ACLs, IDS, IPS, DLP, proxy, all are different security products working on a specific signatures, specific pattern. If they found the pattern, they will trigger the alert. If no pattern, no match, security alerts will allow that communication. And attackers are smart. They know that you are using this security product or you are using firewall IDs, IPs. Then why they will use some specific threat which you can block easily? So to find the hackers, device logs is very important to identify what is accepted and what is not, what is right, what is wrong, and to understand the device working, device behavior. I would suggest to watch out our other videos on SOC Analyst. You will go to know, get to know about, we have different other videos, and we are also having a course on SOC to provide more detailed understanding about different technical skills in Windows, domain, applications, network, Linux, security hunting, ethical hacking, pen testing, other stuffs. So device logs is very important. Your Windows machine generating logs, mobile generating logs, your router, switches, firewall, IDS, IPS, WAF, servers, application, DNS server, DHCP server, every device generates logs, and you need those logs to do the hunting, to find the attackers, to create a rule. You need device logs. Not only the logs, you should have good understanding. If you want to become a good hunter for SOC analyst, you should have a good understanding about the device logs. What type of the different logs can be generated by the firewall, how they look, what information you can find it. Security products. security products. Now, as I mentioned you before, that security alerts triggered by a security appliance or security products. First, IDS, IPS, proxy, firewall, EDR, email protection, antivirus, HIPS, DLP, WAF, and many sandboxing. So there's so many security products can be company use to deal with network packet, to deal with malicious file, to deal with malicious hashes, to deal with malicious emails, that contains threats, to deal with different integrity changes by the malicious user, sender domain, email address. They can use different security products, and these different security products are being managed by different vendors. Vendors keep doing their own intelligence. They collect the different intelligence, they gather it, and they create signatures. For example, a company X, they having thousand appliance. So if they find any attack on first appliance, they will create a signature and will reflect the signature to other appliances which are being used by other customers. So that device can be used to identify the particular attack. That will be very good for a company to use different security products, because different security products are being managed by different security vendors, and different security vendors keep updating their signatures regularly, very short time, like in 5 hours, 6 hours, 1 day, 2 day, and they every time keep updating their malicious signatures to find the latest threats based on the IP address, based on the file name, based on the email address, content file, hash value, registry changes, anything, because this security product controlling your all network. IDS, IPS controlling your network traffic packets. Everything coming in the network have to pass through the either IDS or IPS. Firewall is the main gateway. You can block anything on the firewall if you don't want to receive any packet from that. EDR, endpoint detection response. What changes done on the machine when this file downloaded, where that file has been seen first, what registry modification done by that software, which IP address they're communicating. Every kind of such informations we can get it from the EDR. And if we want to take immediate action by disconnecting the machine from the network, we can immediately take from the EDR solution. Email protection. Email protection will check other email headers, threads, sender server, IP address, sender email, domain name, and can block the threads. Even email protection devices can also be used to check the content in the email body. Antivirus. Anything which you are accessing, copying, modifying, plugging in any pen drive, antivirus can catch that. Excuse me. And antivirus can trigger an alert. Even antivirus have some limitation, because some process which are running with high privileges cannot be deleted, cannot be cleaned by antivirus, and antivirus trigger different signatures based on that. Like, I am unable to clean this file, you have to manually delete this file, blah blah blah. And DLP, data loss prevention, company has used DLP like data loss prevention methods, like if any user sending any confidential file, sensitive information, any document which containing financial information, that can be captured through a DLP based on the signatures, either for the information in the rest or in the motion. Web can also look for the threats based on the application. SQL, cross-site scripting, right? Different application threats can also be captured by a web solution. Sandboxing is again like giving more understanding about the malware, how it could run, what other changes can be done, what other IP addresses are communicating. You can get from the sandboxing. Now, so once you have a good understanding about these different security products, different indicator of compromise, different log format, then you can jump to the device logs. As I mentioned already, Windows machine generate logs, Unix machine generate logs, database generate logs. Router, switches, firewall, and other so many devices are there. Every device generating logs. Even your IPS, your IDS, firewall, EDR, antivirus, WAF, all these devices generating logs. And if you are working in a big company, it's not possible for you to check login in each device, check if that is malicious or not. Not possible, even not feasible. So company uses same product, security information event management, which manages the event from all different devices across the network. Now again, I will show a case where how to forward a log on a machine in a general scenarios, and how can you use that logs for the hunting perspective. Okay, cool. So now I am just showing and giving an understanding about one thing, like attacking on a Windows machine. For example, attacker somehow compromised your machine, and attacker created an account and gave the admin privileges to that account. Then how can you identify if any account have been added by the attacker or by you? Okay, so if any changes made in the operating systems will not be captured by any security product. As I mentioned before, security products are identifying threats based on the signatures. They will not give you the visibility what actions are being taken on a machine. Yeah, machine have their own responsibility. They can log such behavior like if machine rebooted, machine logged off, any account added, password reset. So how is SOC person can do the investigation? Okay, so let's jump off to the part of practical. Now we will have understanding. Let's see how to first forward the logs. If you are new in security and you don't know how to forward the logs, how a company forward the logs, I don't have skills for the integration part. It is very simple until you know, and if you don't know, it will always be challenging for you to know if it is right or wrong. If you know the things, it always be easy for you. Now let me open my sim lab so I can show you how to do the integration part, and then how we can do the hunting activity. Okay, so before jumping off to the lab part, let's take your queries on the comments. Like I can check if you have any doubt. So moving to the practical, because maybe we will miss something, and you may miss some information. So I'm just going to the comments, the post in the live chat, and we'll give the answers one by one. So the first question asked by the Pritesh: do you sell self-paced SOC training session? Yeah, Pritesh, we are selling the SOC version 2.0 course, and that is only for self-paced learning content. You can visit our website socanalysttraining.com. I can mention in the comment section, so you can visit the website and can look for the informations. We have already gave the different FAQ questions, so you, if you still have any doubts, you can please feel reach out to us. We'll help you to guide and we'll give more information. The next question asked by Animesh: will SIM help to detect such abnormal behavior from a particular port, IP protocol, etc.? Yes, Animesh, SIM cannot help you, cannot detect anything automatically. You have to configure first that thing in this SIM, because SIM is a machine. It can definitely help you to do anything. Whatever you have done in the logs, it can do anything. But you have to tell SIM that give me notification by sending me email, sending opening a ticket, sending do this. We have to tell a SIM based on the logs. If you have the informations in the logs for the particular port, IP, protocol in the logs, and that logs are available on a SIM, then you definitely SIM can help you in that. The next question, okay, Samir said that my voice is bit vibrating. Guys, please put in the comment chat box that if you are unable to hear me properly or is there any disturbance. The next question asked by Tosif: I have completed your SOC analyst course from scratch to advance from Ethical Hacker Academy, but in that course IBM QRadar SIM tool is not mentioned and only small amount of Splunk concept. Tosif, just the first thing, as you mentioned that you have completed the SOC analyst course. The SOC course is more about the SOC responsibility, SOC knowledge, SOC domain and technical skills. And second, we have covered like how different networks in that course. We have provided the understanding the networks, packets. We provided the information about the Windows application, ethical hacking, SOC, different cybersecurity attacks, remediations, SOC analyst action. What action take by the SOC analyst when that particular alert will trigger? What kind of the use case used in the monitoring of SOC? That is the responsibility of a SOC. And in the last module, we have gave the information about the SIM tool, that is Splunk. In that module, we have given a brief understanding how to install Splunk, how to configure Splunk, how can use Splunk, and how we can configure different report dashboard. That is for the SOC analyst, which are doing hunting, researching, understanding, will be helpful. So that is the SOC one. Like if you know the things, if you feeling not comfortable in the interviews, please feel reach out to me. I am sure there is something which you missed, because in that course every single word or slide is very important. You have to remember everything, and if you know the things, you can crack any interviews for SOC for sure. And in the SOC, that is our course which we have developed like 2 and 3 years back. Now we are coming with our advanced modified content on the SOC with SOC Analyst version 2.0, in which we will coming with a book, and that book covers everything again from the scratch to advanced, even which the concepts which we haven't covered in the SOC Analyst version 1.0. And why we didn't cover IBM QRadar SIM tool? Because IBM QRadar, HP ArcSight, RSA Security Analytics, RSA Security Envision, Alien Vault, Logarithm, all these are different SIM tools. To work as a SOC team, to work as a SOC analyst, security analyst, you don't need to learn everything, every single tool. You need to learn the technology. And what technology? Windows, network, cyber attack, remediation, SOC analyst actions. Learn the technology. And in the last, we already gave you the understanding about the Splunk also. That how Splunk works, how to install, how to forward logs, how to do hunting, how to create reports. Right? So doesn't matter, I didn't give IBM QDAR, HP ArcSight. If you know the things, fundamentals, if you know one same tool, that is enough. Put in your resume that you know Splunk, you know the SOC. Kalas, you don't need anything. And if still you have any doubt, low confidence, please feel reach out to me on my phone number, on my website, to send my email. I will get in touch with you. We'll discuss what are the issues you are facing in interviews, in switching your jobs, for sure. Okay, the next question is what by Samir. What is Mitre attack framework? Mitre attack framework is a method of identifying and correlating different cybersecurity attack based on the available information. So you can use the Mitre because the Mitre is not like a single framework. That is, they have built multiple frameworks and many, so many intelligence are there by the different contributors across the globe. They are building a framework to identifying, to map different APTs groups by their behavior, by their technique, by their methods. And you can refer to Mitre attacks. You can build a very good logic use cases in your monitoring part to identify the attacks. They will give you the difference about the APT1, APT2 because they have categorized the different attack methods groups named by their country, by their name, by their method, by their technique. In the Mitre framework, you will get visibility about different attack methods, techniques, and the groups which are being on. So you can literally build a different approach for identifying the other different attacks by the same group or different group tech vectors. Tosif. The next question asked by Tosif: difference between Splunk Enterprise and Splunk Enterprise Security. Okay, Splunk. What is Splunk? First, understand the basic thing. What is Splunk? Splunk is an log management device called as a security event information event management. SIM. Now, why we are calling SIM as Splunk? Because in the last you are collecting the logs, right? The logs are collecting. But if I will give you the million or billions of logs, what you will with that logs if you don't know the security? So enterprise security is an application that is coming with this Splunk, and they are giving options and application for alerting for different dashboards, panels, compliances dashboards. So you have enterprise security in your Splunk. You can correlate, you can identify the different methods of attackers approach abnormal activities through the different dashboards already available in the enterprise security. Enterprise security contains different correlation rules by default. We have to review them and configure in the network according to the device sources which we have configured. So they have built an application, a logic of and monitoring a security from SOC perspective, and they're selling in a package calling as enterprise security. The next question also by Tosif: will be search processing language same for all the SIM tools? No. Search processing language, you are referring to Splunk SPL language. Again, other SIM tools, you don't need to write any searches. They will give you dashboards. You have to just use the indicator of compromise or artifacts like IP address, usernames, file name, hash value, and you have to put in the dashboards and just put enter and set the time range. You will get the logs. Splunk is different from other SIM tools like we have RSA Security Analytics, we have ArcSight, Logarithm, Alien Vault. These are different dedicated SIM tools only. But Splunk is different than other because Splunk is log management. We can build a different other advanced correlation dashboards, advanced correlation searches through Splunk, which because we have more better visibility for a person who investigating or creating the rules. You don't need to write searches for every single Splunk, every SIM. SPL is only for Splunk. You need to write just logic like fields, values, and that's class, nothing. The next question asked by Mala Harish Kumar: Yes, vibration is there in your voice. Okay, so I hope, let me now, I have just changed the position of my mic. If you're still having some kind of vibration, please feel free to let me know. I can check it out again. So the next question is asked by the Valvan. The difference between the logs and network packet for the analysis purpose. In what purpose we will go for the log analysis and when we go for the packet analysis? This is very good question. The log analysis and the packet analysis. So are we monitoring the packets analysis through SIM? No. We are monitoring the log analysis. We are doing the log analysis. We are doing the log investigation through SIM. We are not investigating packets. So who is taking care of the packets and when we need to investigate on a packet captures? So we have different security products like IDS, IPS, firewall. These different security products are identifying, matching, findings malicious network packets. And if they find anything malicious in the network packet and we have some sign of malicious network packet and a trigger rule also, then as a security analyst you are responsible to check the network packet in the security device. Why the security device generate an alert for this network packet? You can download that network packet, you can check the search, you can check the signature in the security product and in that network packet to verify on what basis this security device capture this packet as a threat. What malicious contains in that packet. So when you need further validation or you need more information based on the capture threat, or if you are suspecting anything malicious but are not being captured through logs, then you can capture the network packets. Network packets are very useful. You can reconstruct the files, you can reconstruct the data. If you are sending a file from one user to second user and you have all the network packets in your storage, you can actually reconstruct the file. You can get the username and password, you can get all information if that is in an encrypted format. But for a SOC team or for a security team, it's difficult to check each every network packet because a machine generates billions of network packets in an hour, and not possible to investigate each and every network packet because 95% chance will be there the packet is sent by a machine for legitimate purpose. And when you don't have the threads captured by the network packets, then you can refer to the logs of a machine to check if that log actually triggers any suspicious activity for you or for your team. The next question is asked by the Samsir, difference between the flow and event. Event is the kind of the log notification generated by the device based on the configured searches or configured conditions. Like I want an event when machine reported, I want an event that packet sent, I want an event when packet received. But flow is just telling you about the flow of the packet. It's not the right word actually, flow is not the right word. It could be, for a SOC perspective, it could be EPS, that is called as event per second. That a SIM device or a SIM device, how frequent it can receive and send the data by a device. Events per second, that the SIM can receive these many events in 1 second. Tosif asks a question, what are the other tools to remember for a SOC analyst other than SAM tool? So other tools for SIM, it's all more about the access and the privileges your company have for you. Like some companies give access, read-only access to the IDS, to the sandboxing, to the IPS, to these tools to check the network packets. if you want to validate the network packets, because you are the only one who are investigating, so they can give you the read-only access, but you are not responsible for configuring these network devices, because these are different technical skills required to configure the network packets or network rules. For network security product like IDs, IPs, they have dedicated different team like network security team responsible for configuration, pushing the rules, checking everything. But for SIM or SOC analyst level 1, the primary tool SOC, and you should have understanding about all different tools, product, devices, log format to work as successful SOC analyst. Difference between the threat and hunting. Okay, threat hunting and threat detection by Samsir. Samsir, threat hunting is a kind of activity which done by a person for identifying the malicious activity in the network. And threat detection is just to detect the threat in the network by based on a security rule, security signature, or any correlation. The next question asked by the part single log analysis. When you are investigating the endpoint logs, cool. In RSA, packet decoder and packet concentrator for network packets. We will monitor network packet also. Relevant for this question, RSA security analytics. That is that SIM tool which gather both of the things, network packet and device logs in decoder and packet decoder. Decoder is used to log the network device logs, and packet decoder is used to log the network packets. And then similarly you can build the different correlation rule, but again, to store the logs it's very expensive for a company. The financial companies usually used to store the packets because they want to know what transaction happened, what time, if anything missed by the logs, missed by the packets, so they can look back in the network packets, can identify the threats attacker in the network. Yes, in the RSA they have the rules, they have the signatures, the mechanisms also can be work on the network packets. Okay, the next question is whether once the alert is triggered, how to conclude whether the triggered alert is incident or false positive. Good question, Tasif. Tasif, this question like if alert triggered, how would you conclude if is it true or bad? If you have completed my course on for SOC, we have different use cases covered over there, right? For example, let's say example of any account added in the admin privileges. So if alert trigger, how would you conclude that this rule is true alarm or false alarm? First, you are a security team. You have a rule, you monitor, you know this user account, source user added another account in the admin groups. Now this is about changes in the network. So you have to now confirm with the supportive team to verify if the activity is legitimate and required for the business. If yes, then false alarm. If no, true threat, then you have to follow the incident response plan. Okay, the next question is asked by the Parth. Yes, RSA as a decoder for network log. Okay, this is just for the information. The next question is by Tosif. How incident response will carry out for a virus? Same, like virus we already covered in our course also. When you get a virus, identify the machine, identify the disconnect from the network to spread it in the network to other machine, identify the source of the infection from where it comes, email, pen drive, USB drive, network. Source of the infection is very important, and then get the signature in the antivirus and make sure no other similar sample is available in any other endpoint. Cool guys, so just we'll take like 5 minutes break, and then I will show you the practical part. So we will resume the session at 5 o'clock. I am back, guys. So I'm just today I will show you the practical part of the session, like how a SOC analyst or a SOC team do the investigation based on the hunting activities. I will show you how an attacker also add a group in the admin places through a CMD, that is command prompt. So let's start the video. We'll wait like give me some time. Let me open the my Splunk lab, and then I will show you how to forward the logs and will how attacker add in an account, and if we can find out that activity in the machine or in the Splunk or not. So this is the interface of the Splunk, and this is the searching and reporting application. So you can see this is the by default phase, and we can add data. We can add more Splunk. In enterprise security we cannot because that is provided by for the enterprise to the companies, and we can refer to the Splunk document. So here we have different other options like activity. We can see the searches running in the Splunk. We can look for other information like the health of this our SIM solution. We can add more data to ingesting anything like from the firewall, from the IPS, from the IDS. We can ingest data by clicking on the add data, and there are other knowledge base information is also there, like about the controls by user accounts added, removed, about the license and the other systems server settings. We can also use this Splunk as a cluster mode by adding other redundancy node. If that one Splunk is down, the other instance will be on and will be available for the person who are doing the investigation. And it also provides the information about the device inputs like firewall, IDS, IPS, routers, switches, Windows, Linux, other different devices. We can configure, we can index the data, and can provide more other information about like accelerating the information which is stored in this Splunk. This is the information used by the investigation used for the creating rules. So now let's jump off to the searching and reporting application. I'm just opening this application, and you can also have look to the different let open dashboards also, which is pre-built in this Splunk, alerts, reports, instant searching and reporting application. So I just checking the dashboard they have. Okay, so the first dashboard they have is for the offend, and second for the integrity. So let's check if there is any values information present or not. It will run. Let's go. No alert is available. Reports are this error in the last 24 hours, license data. This is just the reports. We can configure this report to like we usually configure the other reports, like for example how many IP addresses have been blocked, how many traffic have been allowed, how many alerts triggered by the IPS antivirus. We can configure such a report and can schedule to send it to our email accordingly. Okay, now I'm coming to the searching part. Here you will type your search, and to notice for your notice, just we have the time range here. We can select the time range based on the like current, tomorrow, yesterday, year back. Everything is visible and easy for you to select a time range accordingly. So now in the Splunk, everything coming as an index. Index is that kind of considers a bucket of data. So if we searches anything which is considered as a field name and equal to value. This is the syntax for this Splunk, like to search the logs in this Splunk in SIM. So now what is the field name? There are three different field names which are mostly same in every same as Splunk: index, host, and source type. So index is the bucket name, host is the name of that. Like for example, if you have the logs for the Windows event, right? You can select their index equal to Windows security, Windows system, which logs are referring to, or Windows host. If you have 1,000 Windows machine, you will get it in the host about the IP address, which host sending the logs from which IP address. Source type will tell you the different logs, like if it's system logs, security log, application log, or any other logs if present. So now if I will put index equal to, I don't know what logs present in this Splunk, I'm using star, enter, nothing, no information is available. Going to the index star all time, no index, no information, not a single information. Going to setting, add data. Now we are adding something. We can upload, we can monitor, we can forward the logs from this to other SIM solution. You can see this Splunk can understand the common index data like in different formats. So now we are not uploading any file, we will just monitor. Now what you want to monitor? Remote events, file directories of other machines, HTTP collector, TCP protocol, local performance monitoring, remote monitoring, registry monitoring, active directory monitoring, local host monitoring. What kind of things which you want to monitor? So if I would click on local event logs, in local event log I have these different many events. Let's select on the security events. Next. Now the setting we have to configure about the add data, like which application we have to index this information. So which application would refer to? So there are different applications already present. Let's be same like searching and reporting application, and the host name is the machine name. So for example, my machine name is SOC client 013. This is my machine name. Now which index you want to forward these logs? This is by default index. We can create a new index also. Just put the index name like Windows logs. Save. These are different other informations you don't need to fill. Just click on save. Okay, so we are giving an error, unable to load index configuration, cannot create index logs because some settings issue. Let's select another name. Okay, so let me configure that other way. Setting, add data. Monitor. Okay, let me go to this Splunk main, and then we will try to add the source from other information like add data. System, let's client 01 main. Let's check if we can. Oh, it's done, right? So now I'm going back. We need security events. I'm just letting this system security, next, search, next, main. Let's select main, next, and you can review the information. Now we are using index main and submit. If you want to add more data, if you want to build dashboard, you can do that also. Now let's start searching. So we did the integration. It's very simple, right? For forwarding the logs from a local machine. For remote machine, we have to install a universal forwarder and have to provide the IP address of our indexer. Let's see if we are getting the logs or not. That again we need to troubleshoot maybe. So it might take some time or it will drag immediately. We'll wait. See, now we are running index equal to star all time. We are receiving the logs now. So in all time we have 18,000 events, and you can click on source type. You can see source type is Windows Event Security. Host is the name, which is the machine name, Mr. SOC. Source is same, and index will be the main. Now Windows generate different events. If you are not familiar with Windows event, I'm not going to this because it will take more 1 hour to understand you. But now let's understand. Like if you are familiar with Windows security events, let's try to now add a user account. So do you know what is the event code for which you should monitor if any Windows account will be added? If you don't know, you have to search on the Google. Windows generates different logs, and each logs have dedicated event code, and each code will be responsible to help you to get the information about the activity. Now we will add the user account in the machine. So let's check if any account is added, and if you're not familiar with the Windows event code, then you can refer. See, these are different logs automatically parsed. See, automatically parsed. Splunk automatically parse everything because Splunk understand Windows security event. So we have event code here, and they have signature also if available. No. Then we can search based on the keywords also, like created or create, or we can use some asterisk words. Something matching in the rule based on the creation. A new process created. So I don't need this process creation. So just I'm filtering it out. I don't want this logs. I will select the text keyword and will click on search, not this one. Now it will not search the specific keyword. Let's check the other events. Audit success, that means successful login. So I don't need login also. Or let's search one more string, user, create user. So I believe whenever any machine adding an account, it will have some information like create user or something. Oh, nothing. So now I am going to add a user account. So now I am calling my CMD command prompt. I will type some command. If you cannot see the command, let me add one more input with the source. Okay, so you can see that we don't have anything. I am just adding in the background. So just adding a new account, just running, because anything need to be add in a machine, we need admin privileges. So I am using a command net user for adding account like hacker01. So let it run with the admin privileges. Run as admin. Net user hacker01. I'm putting some password, random password. So I just added an account with the name of hacker. So let's see if that account log been sent to the machine, to the Splunk, or not. See, we ran the same search with the keywords create and user. we get something. A user account was created. So subject, we have that source user, a new account, which account we have added. This is the property of that account. So we can see this account added by source user Ram, and what account added? Hacker. So those of you also ask like how we can know if any alert is true alarm or false alarm. So if alert triggered like account added in the machine, you don't know if this is an activity, right? So you have to now check with your team responsible for adding in accounts and let them ask like, did you add this account? Check with Ram. Did Ram really add this account or not? If no, then why this account have been added? If this is a breach, disable the Ram user account until we find the root cause for the same. So now for the SOC monitoring, we can configure a rule, or we can do the hunting based on the name of the user account also. Like we can search if anything matches with the keyword hacker. A lot of things triggered with the name of hacker. Let's see what is that. Account created, account enabled, account changed. So you see, we just added an account and Windows generated different type of the events. An attempt was made to query the existence of a blank password for the account. See, we are seeing multiple events. So you now know, you have understanding that when an account added, Windows machine generate different type of event. One like for password, for the account modification, account enabled, account set, multiple events. And you can configure the rule based on the event code also. You don't need to look for the keywords because attacker can create any account, right? So you will look only for the event code for the account added, which is for 4738. An account, oh sorry, this is account changed, not created. Let me go back. I believe 4722 enabled, not. You can go back also. Go back. Okay, so this is created. The event code is 4720. Then you can configure a rule based on the same searches. Event code. If any account will be added, you will get an alert. And hunting. What about the hunting part here? So as I told you, right, you can do the hunting based on the device logs, based on the indicator of compromise, based on the security alert triggered. So if you know what logs format looks, what they contain the informations, you can easily do the hunting. If you have any IP address, you can search for that like 192.168. You can see if that communication have been seen in the network for that particular IP address. See, I don't know. So let's search in the verbose mode. Let's look for the event code 4724. This is for the event account added in the machine. In this not 4764, 4624. Sorry. Because we are locally authenticating, this is generating, and you can see the source IP address also is available in the logs with desktop name. Now we can see this machine from this IP address accessed this machine account name. Sorry, this is the machine name and this is the account name. So We need to validate, verify if this communication is required legitimate or not. If you having in the IP address domain as is something matches in the found logs, you have to investigate, you have to validate if that is legitimate one or not. If no, then we have to report it and block the other remediation actions, because I will not discuss around the remediation part. This session was more about the hunting activity on a sim tool, like how hunting performed, giving a description. So I just show you like how we can create a rules based on that information available in this Splunk or any sim solution. We can do the hunting based on the available log sources. So if we have this IP address in the compromise, we can search for this IP address in the logs, and we can find out like what IP address they're communicating with, on which machine they're communicating with, and we can further validate. Source network address. So there are two more, like 127.0.0.1. Let's look for this IP address, like why this IP address is communicating. It's local communication, I believe. See, the machine name where authentication observed, Mr. SOC, and which machine initiated this, Mr. SOC. So the local authentication also being captured, and other remote authentications also. But here the one thing with logon type is 7. If you are good in the investigation in the SOC analyst, those, if you know, we have covered in the course that the different logon types are there, and the logon type 7, if you remember, belongs to specific activity. And similarly you can monitor other event code with logon types, that is part of the investigation from SOC perspective. And if you talk about the log, like it actually triggered when you unlock your machine. So from this machine we unlock this machine, that's why it's trigger. If anything scheduled task actually authenticating in the machine, any RDP session being initiated in the machine, it also being logged, and we can do the hunting based on the activity in then available in the logs. I hope you guys have cleared a lot of doubts, and the hunting again based on the understanding of the device logs format. And hopefully guys, by next week we will release the book in the market, and that book contains information with the different domains: Windows, network, Linux, applications, security attacks, cyber attack, remediation, penetration testing, ethical hacking, SOC analyst, incident response, and many more. And we have given this different scenarios, practical scenarios with investigation hunting activity in that book also. So please stay tuned with us and keep watching us our video, and thank you guys for your support and watching on this video for your time. If you need any support, any kind of help, please feel free to reach out to me. I will reply I will reply to you, and we'll can talk in person as well. So this is all for today guys. If you have any doubts, questions, please feel free. So thank you everyone. So guys, thank you. And if you have any doubts, okay, so we have some doubts, questions asked by the Tanmay. What is trade? And thank you, Vikram. Can you share your number? Guys, please, I have put my email ID. Please send an email. I will share my number to all of you guys. And the triage is the automatic response on the different cybersecurity incidents you can take by the playbooks. And those, what are the print playbooks? What are the run books? Run books, or considered as a playbooks, are like kind of the actions, pre-post actions for different cybersecurity threats which triggered by any SOC platform. So if next session we will keep updated you in the chat or in the LinkedIn or our YouTube profile. So please stay tuned with us, and we will share the details further. Okay, guys. Hope you learned something today good, and keep learning. And send me an email. I will share my number with all of you guys. Cool. Thank you everyone. Thank you for watching this video.